In the heart of the Chernobyl exclusion zone, a strange and incredible phenomenon is unfolding. Amidst the radioactive fallout, life is quietly thriving. It seems impossible. Radiation levels here are hundreds of times higher than what humans can withstand. Yet, something survives. In the ruins of this nuclear disaster, tiny creatures, those we least expect, are flourishing. But here's the mystery. These creatures are not just surviving, they're thriving in conditions that would obliterate most other forms of life. And it's not just Chernobyl. These microscopic survivors are found in extreme environments like the deep sea, the cores of radioactive power plants, and even in space itself. How is it possible that these creatures, seemingly so fragile, can endure the intense, life-destroying radiation that would bring us to our knees in minutes? Their survival challenges everything we know about biology, evolution, and life itself. Today, we're diving into the remarkable resilience of insects and other small organisms. Their ability to survive radiation levels that would destroy most life forms is nothing short of extraordinary. So how do they do it? Let's explore the science behind their incredible survival. The world we live in is bathed in radiation, most of it invisible, often harmless. But the kind of radiation that can tear apart living cells and unravel DNA is a different story entirely. To understand how certain insects can survive what seems impossible, we must first understand what radiation does to the body, the cell, and the very building blocks of life. Radiation is a form of energy that travels in the form of waves or particles. It exists in many forms, from the ultraviolet light of the sun to the more deadly gamma rays and X-rays, which are capable of passing through matter and disrupting atomic structures. For living organisms, this disruption can be catastrophic. At high levels, radiation bombards cells, causing them to break apart, mutate, or die. The damage isn't just to individual cells. Radiation attacks the DNA itself, the very blueprint that holds the instructions for life. DNA, the molecule that carries the genetic information in nearly all living organisms, is remarkably delicate. It is susceptible to breakage, with radiation causing strands to snap, twist, or fragment. These mutations can lead to a cascade of problems: cancer, genetic diseases, or outright death. It's one of the most lethal forces in nature. The average human body can withstand about 5 grays of radiation, a dose that would immediately begin killing cells and breaking down tissues. Beyond 10 grays, survival becomes nearly impossible. For comparison, the radiation levels inside a nuclear reactor meltdown can exceed 1,000 grays in the most contaminated zones, rendering them completely lethal to most life forms. But here lies the mystery. In places where radiation levels soar, life still thrives. For most creatures, such exposure would be certain death. Yet, there are certain organisms that not only survive, but in some cases seem to thrive under the most extreme radiation imaginable. When we speak of radiation resistance, we are talking about an organism's ability to counteract the harmful effects of radiation damage. For most animals, this means DNA repair mechanisms, systems within their cells that work overtime to fix the damage caused by radiation. Humans have some of these defenses, but not enough to survive extreme radiation. However, in certain creatures, many of them insects, these defenses go far beyond our own capabilities. One key to survival in radioactive environments lies in an organism's ability to repair its DNA quickly and effectively. For most animals, once DNA is broken, the cell dies, or amid the desolation of Chernobyl's radioactive wasteland, a quiet miracle unfolds. It's a scene that defies every instinct, every assumption about life's limits. The landscape, stripped of its human inhabitants, is still home to life, and not just any life. Life that flourishes in conditions of radiation far exceeding what should be survivable. Among the survivors, a group of creatures is quietly thriving, showing an extraordinary ability to endure radiation levels that would decimate most other organisms. Chernobyl, the site of the 1986 nuclear disaster, is a haunting place, a graveyard for human structures, where time seems frozen in radioactive decay. However, in the absence of humans, the environment has slowly been reclaimed by nature. In the years following the disaster, scientists noticed something strange. Insects, particularly ants and cockroaches, were still present. Over time, it became apparent that these creatures were not just surviving, but thriving in the highly radioactive zone, where radiation levels were hundreds of times higher than what humans could endure. The first discoveries were astonishing. Researchers found populations of ants living within the most radioactive parts of the zone. In these areas, the radiation levels reached 20 grays, a dose that would almost immediately kill a human, but ants seemed to be living and even reproducing. Cockroaches, too, which are famously resilient to many toxic environments, were found in similar numbers, despite the deadly radiation. At first, this seemed to fly in the face of everything we knew about radiation's destructive power. Cockroaches, long believed to be the survivors of the insect world, have now earned a reputation as nature's most durable creatures. But their resistance to radiation was now revealed to be far greater than initially thought. While scientists had always known that cockroaches could withstand higher doses of radiation than most insects, Chernobyl's radioactive hotspots exposed the astonishing extent of their tolerance. Researchers quickly turned their attention to understanding why these insects were capable of enduring what should have been a lethal environment. Was it their smaller size, their rapid reproduction, or something more deeply embedded in their biology? What set these creatures apart from the rest of life on Earth, and how did they withstand the hostile, irradiated terrain? Among the answers, the process of natural selection and evolution in these extreme conditions seemed to play a significant role. In the wake of the radiation disaster, the surviving insects had undergone an accelerated evolutionary process. It's no coincidence that populations in the irradiated zones exhibited marked differences from those found in more typical, low-radiation environments. These insects had evolved to become more resilient to radiation exposure. Radiation's destructive power lies in its ability to disrupt the fundamental building blocks of life. It breaks down DNA, shreds proteins, and alters the intricate machinery that drives cellular functions. Yet, some organisms not only survive this onslaught, they thrive. To understand how, we must look closely at the biological mechanisms that allow these creatures to resist the damage that would otherwise kill or severely harm most forms of life. At the heart of radiation resistance is the ability to repair the damage caused to DNA. DNA, as the code for life, is extremely sensitive to radiation. When high-energy radiation strikes a living cell, it can cause double-strand breaks in the DNA. These breaks are catastrophic if left unrepaired because they can lead to mutations, cancer, or cell death. However, certain organisms have evolved sophisticated ways to repair these breaks and mitigate the long-term damage. One of the most important systems for this repair is known as DNA repair machinery. In most animals, when radiation causes damage, the cell's repair system springs into action, working to mend the DNA. The process is intricate, involving a cascade of enzymes that recognize the damage, cut out the broken DNA segments, and replace them with new, healthy material. But in most organisms, this process isn't perfect. The higher the dose of radiation, the harder it is for the cell to repair itself completely, and the more likely that mutations will accumulate. In insects like cockroaches, ants, and in some of the most surprising survivors, the microscopic tardigrades, this repair machinery is far more efficient. Research has shown that these species possess enhanced DNA repair pathways. In the case of cockroaches, they have an abundance of proteins called RAD51, which are critical in repairing DNA damage. These proteins help to quickly restore the genetic code, preventing the mutations that radiation would typically cause. What's particularly impressive is that this DNA repair system in cockroaches seems to be able to function even under extreme levels of radiation, far beyond what human systems could tolerate. Surviving radiation is not just about repairing DNA. There are other biological shields in place to protect these creatures. One of the most important of these is the role of antioxidants in combating oxidative stress, which radiation exacerbates. Radiation generates free radicals, unstable molecules that can damage cellular structures. These free radicals wreak havoc on proteins, lipids, and DNA, accelerating aging and disease. In response, organisms like cockroaches and ants have developed heightened antioxidant defenses. These molecules neutralize free radicals, protecting cells from radiation-induced damage. Cockroaches, for instance, have a highly developed system of enzymes, such as superoxide dismutase and catalase, that break down these harmful free radicals before they can cause lasting damage. These enzymes act as the body's first line of defense against radiation, detoxifying harmful substances and preventing cellular destruction. Ants, too, rely on antioxidants to protect their colonies from the harmful effects of radiation. But their resilience doesn't stop there. The social structure of ant colonies plays a pivotal role in ensuring survival in radioactive environments. The colony operates as a collective organism, with each ant playing a specific role in maintaining the health of the group. The queen controls reproduction, ensuring the colony's survival over generations, while the workers gather food and protect the nest. This cooperative survival strategy allows ants to withstand challenges that would decimate other species. Their communal nature, combined with individual resilience, enhances the colony's ability to adapt to changing environments, including radioactive ones. The incredible ability of insects like cockroaches, ants, and tardigrades to survive extreme radiation is the result of millions of years of evolutionary pressures. Natural selection has honed their DNA repair systems, strengthened their antioxidant defenses, and shaped their social structures to ensure survival in hostile environments. In the case of cockroaches, this resilience didn't happen overnight. Their ability to withstand radiation is a product of evolutionary adaptations that occurred long before the atomic age. Over time, the ancestors of these modern cockroaches developed a suite of traits that made them less susceptible to environmental stresses, including radiation. This survival advantage allowed them to outlast their competitors and thrive in ecosystems where other creatures faltered. For ants, the evolution of radiation resistance is tied to their social structure. Over generations, natural selection acted on the colonies that were more genetically diverse and cooperative, favoring those with traits that enabled them to withstand environmental stresses like radiation. The result is a species that thrives not only through individual resilience, but through the collective strength of the colony. Tardigrades, on the other hand, represent a more recent evolutionary innovation. Their ability to survive radiation and other extreme conditions has made them a subject of fascination for scientists. They have developed unique genetic mechanisms, such as radiosensitivity reduction, to protect their DNA from radiation-induced damage. Their ability to enter suspended animation during times of stress further contributes to their survival in environments where life should not exist. These evolutionary adaptations highlight the resilience of life and its capacity to adapt to the harshest conditions on Earth. As we uncover the biological mechanisms that allow these insects to survive, we gain insight into the broader process of evolution itself, a process that constantly shapes life in response to the challenges of survival.